versus tanks. This is an issue that people don't seem to want to talk about. And that's because it has been highly controversial in the reptile community. So today, we're gonna do it, we're gonna face it, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna go over a few of my personal experiences and a few of my friends' personal experiences and what I personally believe. As you can see, I have part of my collection in tubs and I have part of my collection in tanks. And this is because I think both are fine. Both are acceptable if done correctly. There are people out there that don't do it correctly in tubs and tanks. So it's a matter of monitoring yourself and figuring out what works best for your animal, species of your animal, and what their personality is. Donato, he's in the first tub there. He did better in a tank. I will admit he did better in a tank. He's a very, very adventurous, curious ball python, which is, yeah, right. But I'll show you. You open up the tub and he shoots out. He's ready to play. He's ready to come out, and he's photogenic. He just loves being out with me. And I even roll my eyes when people say my ball python loves to come out. No, they don't. No, they don't. But I see how Donato shoots out of his tub every time I go to get him out. And he loves being out. I can't deny the fact that he loves being out. And then I have snakes that absolutely freak when I go to reach in. Asali, my leopard spider, she hates it. She hates me touching her. She hisses at me. She's just, it's not that she has an ugly personality, she just doesn't want to come out. So yeah, she's a tub baby. She grew up in Iraq. So yeah, she likes being left alone in her rack. Sagani, in that tank right there. He was also a tub baby. I got him from Bob Clark. He will do well in either because he's never had an upper respiratory infection in his tank. And that is a big issue with keeping snakes in tanks because you can't keep the right humidity and the right heat. Really all you can do is put a heat lamp and hope for the best. You can put foil over it. I know people who put like slabs of the thin plastic over the top of the tank where the screen is to keep the heat in. And really it'll help a little bit. You know, ball pythons require 50 to 70% humidity, of course, depending on the morph. My piebald is really, really prone to scale rot, but the normal, you could set him in a bucket of water for 5 days and he'd be completely happy. Actually, Cody down there, he adores his water bowl. I gave him a kitty litter box and he won't come out of it. He's hiding underneath the kitty litter box right there. He's got a hole, you can't really tell from here, but that's a 50-gallon tank, and he refuses to stretch out in it. He'll hide in the corner. He stays in the corner of his tank underneath the kitty litter box. So that's a big thing with blood pythons as well. God, I could go on forever. I'm completely off topic here, but blood pythons. People think, oh my God, they're the pit bull of the snake world. They're so aggressive. Okay, people will treat them like a ball python, which as far as behavior goes, yes, putting them in a position of a ball python, you can't handle them like a ball python. You shouldn't be throwing them around, wrapping them up. They demand respect. They're not a puppy dog, you know? You need to treat them you have to treat them knowing that they have the potential to bite you. That's any animal. You cross them, they have the potential to defend themselves. You know, that's reasonable. Blood pythons require a lot more humidity and water and a different set of husbandry skills than a ball python. Back to the other topic, tanks and tubs. The tubs will hold heat and humidity better than the tanks will, that's for sure. You have your thermostat so you can control exactly what the heat is, especially with the probe in there. You can monitor exactly the hot spot, the ambient temperature, and you can maintain that better than in a tank. In a tank, you have the heat lamp and a hot spot. All the other heat rises and goes right through the screen on the top. So it's kind of, yes, it gets really, really hot in one spot. It also dries out the tank. It's hard to keep humidity. I really, really like the coconut husk bedding. I use several different brands. Actually, Rude Dog Reptiles gave me his Pro Cocoa. I bought it from him at the show. And the stuff holds humidity like crazy. So yes, I'm putting that in my tanks now. It keeps the humidity in whenever it gets dry. Like Sakani's in shed right now. He's completely blued over, like his black is gray. I'm gonna be dumping water. I literally will take my jar of water and I'll pour it over the entire tank and just soak everything. You can see everything kind of starts to get steamy when the lights turn on. Good, that's perfect. I don't even have to gauge the humidity by numbers because I can keep an eye on it. I can see the humidity, I can see the condensation on the side of the tank, and I know that he is sitting in a little bit of mud. Perfect, his sheds have always been flawless. He's had a couple times where he got stuck when I was still learning the technical details of owning snakes. Yeah, he got stuck in shed. Yes, I stayed up till 3 a.m. picking it out of his nostrils. You gotta do what you gotta do. I messed up, I admit. We make mistakes, we learn from mistakes, and we make videos like this one and share our mistakes with other people. So maybe if they have an animal that has an issue, like how I've had with the stuck shed, I always share flaws. Maybe there's somebody out there that's a new keeper that got a snake from a crappy pet store, I'll just say it, and they have mites. What do I do? Oh my God, you know, it's an 11-year-old kid that loves their ball python and they don't know what to do. Go to YouTube, go to the internet. Maybe somebody will stumble upon my video and take something out of it, and that's what I strive to do for this community. So once again, everybody's gonna have their opinion and I wanna hear yours. I wanna hear comments. I've seen more issues with tanks than I have tubs. I was one of those people where I thought that keeping snakes in tubs was, I don't want to say abusive, but I thought, oh, those poor animals need to see the light of day. They really don't. Ball pythons don't really require UV. Sometimes I'll take them out and sit in the sun and do pictures with them, but like Amani, she can't stand being out. She turns frantic. She'll run with her belly scales as fast as she can to get under a tarp or get under something. She just doesn't, she'll crawl underneath me and hide. She doesn't like being out. The sun hurts her eyes. I don't know what the deal is. She doesn't like it. So I'll only take her out for a little bit, let her get some sun, take some pictures of her, do my thing, no more than 5 to 10 minutes, and I put her back. And as soon as I put her back, she curls up in her corner and sits there. She doesn't talk to me, she doesn't hiss or anything. She's a sweet snake, but she does not like being out. Okay, she's a tub baby. I feel like if I put her, I had her in a tank actually. I had her in a large plastic tank that was like a big Christmas decoration thing when I was still moving stuff around. When I first got her, I stuck her in there and she was all over the tank, running all over the place, and all I had was a water bowl and some like plant decor. I didn't really have a hide for her, which is, once again, big mistake. You're always supposed to have something for them to curl up against or hide in to feel safe. I didn't have that for her, so as soon as I took a cardboard box, cut a door in it, flipped it upside down, set it in there, she went right in. It was a tiny little box too. She squeezed herself in there and she hid. She did not like being out in the open. It made her feel nervous, and that's a big thing with ball pythons is they're shy. They're really shy, and they like to feel safe and hidden and squished down. So in an adult rack like those that I have over there, those are from Sea Serpents. I couldn't tell you, you know, V8, V whatever, I couldn't tell you. I just looked at the size, looked at the grams, and thought that's perfect for, you know, my, it says up to 2,000 grams, and I have only one female in there that's 2,000 grams. Everybody else is two females that are 2,000 grams. The rest are pretty small. I don't want to say juvenile, but they're adults. They're just pretty dainty. So I'll get a bigger rack for my big girls later. But it's not really a grow-up rack. I have a couple of babies in there too. I got a whole bunch of different sizes. But every single one of those snakes goes into the corner and they feel safe. I see them moving around sometimes. Donato is one of them that he'll throw his water over. He'll come up and I see him pushing his nose in the top trying to get out. So Donato would probably do better in a tank, personally. But he's the only one. He's the only one. Everybody else, they feel safe in those racks and they don't want to come out. And every time I take them out, they want to go right back in. So I think racks, you know, Brian Barczyk faced a lot of backlash for talking about the whole rack system thing. I think that's stupid. He's doing what he sees, and I know he cares about. Feel free to disagree with me. I've had nothing but great experiences from him, and I know he really does care about the well-being of his animals. He's a sweet guy. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of animals, and he has other people taking care of his animals in the facility. So I can see where, yes, there are some things that get overlooked, but you can't just blame Brian Barczyk for that. Like, that's not his fault. He's a big time snake breeder, reptile keeper. Now he has the reptarium. You can't be mad at somebody for making a couple of mistakes. You know, you can only do the best you can do, and People mess up, animals die, it happens. And you just have to accept that and move on. So yes, I've made mistakes. I still keep making mistakes and I have people correcting me. I love being corrected. Please correct me on things. You know, not argue, but let's discuss it. I want to hear your opinion, your experiences, because my experiences are going to be different than yours. So, full overview. Tanks, they suck at holding humidity and heat. Tubs, they keep a great ambient temperature, ambient humidity, everything stays great, and it's easier to manage your snakes. Yes, there's a little less room, but when you think about it, when they're in the tanks, you can give them a hide half the size of a tub and they'll squeeze their body in there and stay in there for days at a time. They don't really need that big of a tank. People think you get a ball python, you need an 80-gallon tank. No, it makes them nervous. Oh, they live in Africa, they wander around. Sure, to get food and water. If they have their food and water in there, they're gonna wanna hide. They feel safe hiding. And yes, I give them time to go out and explore, but if I see that it's making them anxious, I put them back. A lot of this hobby is learning to manage yourself, learning to find out what works for you, and talking to people and asking opinions and asking for help. It doesn't hurt, you know? I still ask for help, even though it damages whatever ego I have left. I don't want to look like a know-it-all. I would rather go up to somebody who's been keeping way longer than I have and ask them for help and advice. Like, okay, Brett Rohr on Instagram. He has only been in the hobby for 2 years, but the dude's got a ton of snakes and he feeds live, which people hate. I have no problem with it because he watches his snakes. He makes sure nobody gets bitten. He's a very good example of what to look at in this community and take advice from. I ask him advice. I'm like, what does this look like to you? And I send him a picture of my snake who's got a weird thing on her side. Yeah, I still ask for advice, even from people who've been keeping less than I have. I don't care. The dude had great advice and he helped me out. So put Neosporin on it, put him on paper towels. Now he's in a tub and he's doing incredible. I haven't had one issue with him since he's been in a tub. So that's why I'm such a tub supporter now. I mean, yes, I have both, but certain snakes do fine. Sakani and Rakoti do just fine in tanks. I've never had an issue with them in tanks. And Nyoka does better in a tub. I've had issues with him his whole life in a tank. He was in a 30-gallon tank for a while there. It was 30-gallon short, long, more space on the ground than up, which is perfect for a ball python, right? Burned himself, got parasites, just had respiratory infection. It was just like, well, why? I'm doing the same thing for him as I am everybody else. He just happened to do better in tubs. Where Sakani did great in the tank and moved up to a 40-gallon, he's been in there since. And he's probably gonna live in that 40-gallon until the day he dies. I just find it's a very custom experience, whatever the snake tells me, as far as body language and health, really. I noticed the health is way better in tubs. So once again, this is an open discussion. I want to hear opinions. I want to hear experiences from people. So feel free to please share this, comment on it. I don't care. I want to hear if you're a full-on tank supporter and you're like, well, I think you're doing it wrong. Tell me. I want to hear what you have to say, and maybe we can teach each other something, you know? I could teach you something about, you know, the 56 animals that I have in this room. You can teach me something about the 2 that you have that have incredible health and new experiences I haven't had yet. So I want to hear it. Go down and comment, please. I have greatly appreciated. I think that's going to be it for my rambling session of the day. Thank you for listening to all this. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time in Fireside. Can't get it in there.